Am I the idiot for calling police on X? My ex, 35, had custody of our daughter, 9, until I discovered that my ex was neglecting my daughter by using drugs and living in horrific conditions. I won custody of my daughter when she was 7. Her mother was a heavy meth user for a long time, I came to find out. She hid it from nearly everyone, and of the time I suspected it, I didn't have proof until I came across video evidence of it on my daughter's tablet. During our custody battle, my ex got clean. I was very happy about this, as I wanted my daughter to have her mother in her life. My ex got a job making good money, moved away from her abusive meth head dealer boyfriend, and was finally trying to make something of herself. Well, in the last few months, my ex was finally allowed unsupervised visits. Every visit there was a ton of drama. She was late picking up our daughter, 16 hours late once, she slept for 24 hours straight, leaving our daughter to fend for herself for food. Our daughter had to call her grandma to pick her up because she couldn't wake up mommy. She lost her job due to being sick. She constantly has an excuse for why she is late or unavailable. She once had a friend bring my daughter back in a car that had a breathalyzer in it to keep it running. I discovered this guy had 5 warrants out for his arrest due to meth. This last visit, however, is where I think I might have been the idiot. My ex was 4 hours late picking up our daughter, yet again, and then had a 2-hour drive back to where she lives. I checked my daughter's phone GPS to see if she had made it to her mother's safely, only to discover they weren't even halfway there yet. Her mother stopped at a random gas station off the interstate for 2 hours and left our daughter alone in the car. I couldn't believe it when I talked to my daughter on the phone. So of course I called the police to do a welfare check. Before the police could arrive, I checked with my daughter again to see if her mother had returned. She had. I relayed this information to dispatch. They still chased her down. All I was told is that my daughter was okay. After my daughter returned from visitation, she told my wife about the incident. This is where I feel terrible. My daughter said the police put her in the back of the squad car as her mother and car were searched. She was terrified. That was never my intention. I just wanted to make sure she was safe, because I was 99% sure there was some sort of drug deal/use going down, especially with recent behavior. Her lawyer even withdrew from counsel this week after a drug test was ordered. My suspicions are through the roof. So, am I the idiot? Edit. Some are under the assumption that I haven't fought tooth and nail for 2 years to keep sole custody of my daughter. The battle is still ongoing, but I'm not a mother, so therefore I am treated as less in family court. Now for comments before the update, not the idiot. While your daughter may have been scared, her safety comes first. Police often have events where they do meet and greet with people where they also get to see a police car and all that. Maybe see if you can replace what she experienced with police with a more positive experience, not the idiot. It sounds exactly like a drug deal was going down. And since there's no field sobriety test for meth, they probably couldn't do anything to prove there was drug use. But what else could mother have been doing for 2 hours at a random gas station? Update. It's been since December when the initial drug test was ordered for my ex thanks to the events of several visitations and the situation she placed my daughter in, who is 10 now. The second court date, when my ex failed to show or present a drug test, the court ordered my ex's visitation rights to be suspended until she could provide a negative hair follicle. By the third court date, the judge decided to place a no-contact order on my ex, which was a huge relief. My ex has failed to show up to the other 5 court hearings after, so it was decided her failure to take a drug test will now be considered a presumptive positive. In the meantime, my lawyer filed a motion for 100% legal custody, already physical, of my daughter and to give my wife power of attorney over my daughter. This was just granted yesterday, especially when an expert witness, my own daughter testifying against her mother, which I honestly never thought she would do, and my own testimony. My daughter's mother has been MIA since the beginning of December. The last I heard from my ex-MIL, she couldn't even afford to have her electricity turned on. I'm furious her mother has placed so much stress on our daughter, that she has hurt her so thoroughly that my kid said today, off the cuff, that she will never forgive her mother. My wife and I didn't even know how to reply to that, so we just nodded in understanding because she allowed her feelings. I no longer feel like an idiot. I did at first, because of how upset my daughter was. I felt it was entirely my fault. I hated seeing her so upset. I know everything I've done is to protect her from the disaster that is her mother, and I am extremely disappointed that her mother has just decided to not fight for her kid anymore. Just give up and not even show up to court. I have a feeling I won't be hearing anything from her mother. Thank you for all your replies to the previous post. I know many people were pushing for court, which I already had planned, but the court moves slowly. Now you know the outcome, not the idiot. Just a thought. Run a credit check on your daughter and change her social security number. Just in case Biomom has it, not the idiot. I'm so sorry for the struggle your family is going through. I'm glad to hear you have the courts behind you on this at least. This will be a lifelong issue for your daughter, so just be sure you're there for her and maybe consider therapy so she has a place to process this healthily over time. Good luck and you're doing great. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for moving out and not telling my roommates? I, female 19, live with 3 other girls aged 19 to 20 in an apartment on campus. Since it's an apartment on campus, it's a 2-bedroom with 4 people, so everyone shares a room. I share a room with B, C, and D. Between me and D, we furnish the whole apartment. I want to acknowledge that I am the bitchy roommate. I call everyone out on money, food, and cleaning. I'm a full-time college student and I work 40 hours a week on top of that, but I'm also the one that does the most chores. Since I am the only one with a job, my roommates expect me to buy everything for the place: toilet paper, garbage bags, etc., and they get mad that I ask them to pay me their share of. I really enjoy cooking and it's a huge stress relief for me. For the first month of the semester we did group groceries and group meals. It was cheaper and we would be getting better meals. I figured out we could get 2 weeks worth of meals for around $30 to $40 each every 2 weeks. I make the grocery list and cook the meals. After about a month, B and C said they don't want to do group groceries anymore because it's too expensive. I now cook meals for me and D. We shop together and split the cost 50-50. I'm cooking food for me and D still. B and C expect me to make them food. I told them they didn't pay for food, so I'm not making them any. So now they go out to eat and get takeout every night, then complain that they don't have any money. B has a boyfriend. He comes over and spends the night too. I share a room with B. I've asked to let me know before he comes over. She did for a month, now she tells no one. He comes over and takes naps in her bed when she's not in the room and I'm trying to do homework. I've asked not to have him spend the night if I am intoxicated due to trauma. I woke up after drinking and he was in the room asleep without her. So I did not fall back asleep and was not happy. He comes over all the time now, and she doesn't let us know. I'll jump in the shower in the morning when I walk back to my room in just a towel. He'll be sitting on her bed while I try to get dressed. I am in therapy, and because of the pandemic it's virtual. So I do it from my own room. I can't help it if there's people home, but I've recently figured out that they've been listening to my therapy sessions. I'll talk about things in that session that I don't talk about with anyone else. Somehow C and B will bring it up later that night if it's something about the apartment and them. When I move out they will have absolutely nothing in the apartment. No pots or pans, couch, a coffee table, a TV stand, all decorations, etc. I already cancelled my housing contract for next semester. It isn't going to be worth $2,000 for me. So I left for 2 weeks, packed up most of my stuff and left with it. I only told D that I was leaving for 2 weeks. So B and C have no idea where I am or most of my stuff, and honestly I'm fine with it. Am I the idiot? Edit. I have told D that I am not coming back for the second semester. Everything that she paid for / brought is hers. I'm leaving her stuff alone, and that includes some of the stuff that we split the cost on. B and C have since decided to give me the silent treatment, and have not talked to me for a week. I have my big furniture pieces and everything in the kitchen left there for me to grab over Thanksgiving break when no one is there. Otherwise, I have nothing else still there. I have talked to Dee about moving out and getting a place with me, and she isn't interested in moving into a house this year since she is from out of state. The apartment is through college housing. There is no rent to worry about for them to pay. A new random person will be placed into the apartment. The cost of living for them will not change. Now for comments before the update. Not the idiot. You don't owe them an explanation. They continuously crossed boundaries and didn't respect you enough. Your roommate's BF is nasty too. He's sitting there knowing you need to get dressed. That's gross. If you share a room, he shouldn't be staying over like that. Also, you own that stuff. They're adults and can figure they're shut out. You should try and get a place with D, not the idiot. When things become intolerable in an apartment living situation with the roommates, the only thing to do is to move out. Sometimes you have to do things first, and then let them go no later to avoid unpleasant confrontation. They have shown that they will change their behavior for a short time, but end up going back to their old patterns. Update. I have successfully moved out of the college apartment, and I moved back in with my parents while I finish out this semester before getting into a house. My ex-roommates B and C have basically cut all contact with me. Me, B, C, and D tried to set up a time to talk about everything. B and C showed no interest and refused. I even went back to the apartment to try to help D with stuff because me and her are remaining friends. She understands why I'm leaving and isn't holding a grudge against me. When I went back, B and C locked themselves into the room that C and I shared. They were talking loudly on purpose so that I could hear them. B. We should go talk to her, I feel bad. C. I don't really care, she's a witch for taking everything. The two laughed and stayed in the locked room until I left. They said nothing to me the whole time. I took everything of mine, leaving them with the university-supplied furniture. No more nice furniture, nothing to cook with, no decorations, nothing in the bathroom, etc. I moved everything out when everyone was gone for the weekend. In moving out, I haven't been able to find a few of my belongings. In the end, the total amount for how much I'm missing is about $40. D has no idea where it is or how it went missing. B and C have completely cut off contact with me, blocked me on social media, and left our group chats. From D, I found out that B and C will be moving out as well and into a dorm with just the two of them. C moved into the room with B for the time being, so now D has her own room. B still hasn't seemed to grasp the concept that she's the reason that I'm leaving more than anything. She is still bringing her boyfriend over almost every day and isn't asking, she is telling D instead of asking. D has told her no, he can't come over a few times, and she still tries to sneak him in. This ends in D yelling at her and then fighting, resulting in B locking herself in the room to pout. D wants to get the RAs involved and I keep telling her to, but she hasn't yet. Me, C, and D were part of a friend group of 6 from freshman year. I talked to them and leaned on them for support, and they all agree that C and B are way out of line, formally kicking C out of the group. She's been removed from our group chats along with other social media. I definitely feel as though that's my fault, but I don't feel bad about it. C showed her true colors and made her own fate, not the idiot. Holy hell, how did you get the idiot judgment in the previous post? You are definitely not the idiot in that situation. You're not their parents, and thus you're not responsible for their well-being. I'm glad that you moved out and stayed friends with D. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for not babysitting for my ex when her husband is in the hospital? Things are complicated, but I'll try to sum it up for you. I, 34, male, met my ex-wife 7 years ago. We dated for 1 year and were married for 2 before we divorced. When we met, she already had 2 kids from her previous relationship, Patrick, 13, male, and Luna, F10. We have 1 son, Tony, 5, male, together. My own relationship with her kids was good, but they never treated me as their dad or something like that because their dad was involved in their life. Although my wife had primary custody, we all understood I was a stepdad and were fine with it. My relationship with my ex-wife was good and I thought very loving, although after our divorce I realized that she used to talk a lot about her ex-husband, comparing the 2 of us and stuff like that, which is definitely weird, but I didn't notice it at the time. Well, turns out that she really couldn't forget her ex and she ended up cheating with him. This was very hard to process when I found out, thanks to one of her friends, and our divorce was not easy. When her family found out about her infidelity, they got very angry at her and went no contact with her. All of this happened 4 years ago. Ever since, her and her husband had 2 more babies together, 3 and a few months old baby. Her husband got diagnosed with cancer around November last year. Even after everything they did to me, I still feel sorry for them and their kids. It's a sad situation which makes me think I'm an ass. My ex and I have shared custody with our son, but ever since her husband got sick, my son has been staying with me more days, as sometimes my ex's husband has to stay at the hospital and my ex has to help him. I'm okay with this, of course. However, my ex asked me if I can start taking all of her kids home with me when I pick my son up in these kinds of emergencies. I told her that I don't want to do that, and instead she should ask a friend to take care of them or try to pay a babysitter. I pay good child care *, and I know they're not spending all that money on my son at the moment because he's mostly with me. I think it'll be enough to pay for a couple hours. She told me her friends don't want to help her anymore, and her family still doesn't talk to her. I told them they need to figure out a solution. I will only help take care of my son. I feel like a piece of poop, to be honest, like I'm being too petty. There's no updates, so here's the comments. Not the idiot. Sounds like your ex has burned a bunch of bridges and is trying to make you her lifeline because you share a child. The whole situation is unfortunate, but it isn't your responsibility to help her. You're right about her being able to use the money you pay for child support to pay for care for her other kids. But even without that, it would still not be your responsibility. You sound like a caring person, and she knows how to make you feel guilty. But it's not wrong for you to refuse to help, not the idiot. And you aren't being petty. She is asking you to take care of 4 small kids who aren't your own, including an infant. Ridiculous. Petty would be getting child support reduced due to the current change in custody of your son. You are already supporting her family and are doing enough.